Hi, Mr. Porter. Hello, guys. My name is JB from Lime Valley Engine Works. Everybody knows me as JB. Most people know me as JB. My name's Jacob Bryan. This is Porter. Phantom's over here. Pistols up there. The cats are in there. I want to do a little video here and kind of talk to you guys about what I collect, what I'm interested in, and some videos that'll be coming up talking about certain things as well. Porter, how about you lay down, buddy? Can you do that for that? Can you do that for me? Lay down. Um, so, like I said, my name's Jacob Bryan. Everybody calls me JB. I thank you guys very much for watching my podcast. I know I haven't done a lot of them. I've been, hopefully, this winter I can start really getting into it and pushing it a little bit more. So, guys, as you can tell here in the background and stuff, I collect a little bit of everything. Um, a little bit of background on me. When I was a little kid, my dad bought each one of my brothers and I an engine. My very first engine was a Fairmont rail car engine, a 8 to 16 horse. I still have it. It's in the engine shed. I don't really get it out that much or take it many places, but that was my very first engine. Um, and I've had a bunch of garden tractors. I got into garden tractors when I was in high school. Um, I had Allis Chalmers and Simplicities were mostly what I was into. I had 30 of them at the same time. So that was kind of what I really focused on. One year I took all of them to Rough and Tumble, lined them all up in numerical order and everything, and there was other people driving around on them, and it was like these things gotta go. I like I gotta have I like stuff that is just odd, unusual. You don't see very often. That's the kind of stuff that I like. That's the kind of stuff I collect. Like it's a little hard to find parts and find them in general. Um, but to me, the thrill of the hunt is part of the hobby. It's the funnest part of the hobby. So, like I said, I got into garden tractors. I bought my first hit and miss engine, which was a horse and a half economy. I'm actually building a butcher block style cart for it right now. I bought that when I graduated high school. Me and my brother went to a sale up above Albany, New York. Just a last minute deal. Hopped in the truck and drove up there. Um, I think we bought like 10 or 12 engines up there. Spent a lot less money than what we were anticipating. Had to let a couple things there because we didn't have room in the truck. Um, Ouch! But yeah, that was the first engine I really bought with my own money was a horse and a half economy. I still have that engine too. It's a really beautiful original engine. It doesn't have the most amount of power, but it'll sit there and run all day. So I'm not really messing with it. Like I said, it's a really nice original engine. It was on a cart. The cart kind of was crappy and not what I wanted, so I started building a butcher block style cart for it. Um, yeah, and then it turned into just buying engines and collecting stuff. You know, as you progress in the hobby, you get a little bit more picky on what you want, or you get a little more focused in on what you want. I think between me, my dad, and my brother, right now we have about 85 hit and miss engines. Um, it just, I was you just buy kind of what interests you in the moment. Um, so, like I said, I'm working on that cart right now. I just bought a 2.5 horse gray at Cool Springs. That I'm building a large style butcher block cart for that with McCormick Deering bolsters and stuff underneath it. I think it'll look good on that. That engine's on the original skid, so I don't want to screw up the skid. I just want it on a cart. So I figured if I can build a cart that's the same size as the skid and then just drill holes straight down through and bolt it down and make it look old. So, like I said, I'm into engines, hit miss engines and stuff. Um, I'm also working on a 6 horsepower Navu right now, Novo, um, which I got it pretty much back together. So I just got to tinker with it a little bit and get it running a little bit better. I got to tear the fuel pump back apart and see what's going on with that. So yeah, I'm into hit and miss engines. I collect chainsaws. Like I said, I was big into garden tractors. I had a lot of common stuff, and then I kind of switched over to engines for a while. I was collecting hit and miss engines for a good many years, and still buying some garden tractors. And then I messed up my back, and I couldn't really move them. I couldn't really move engines anymore, so I got back into garden tractors, just buying oddball stuff. Between walk behinds and riders, right now I have 180 garden tractors, and I try to stick to pre 1960. Um, that's just kind of the style I like, and the more uncommon it is, the more I'm drawn to it. I have three David Bradley Tri-Tracks right now. I don't have any other David Bradleys, just the Tri-Tracks. Um, I got a bunch of Bantams, a bunch of Fimicos. I have a whole building up there that I built that's got nothing but Bantam. It's got Bantam garden tractors in it and all kinds of other stuff. Um, I have an Atomic Babe. I like homemade tractors too. I probably have 6 or 7 homemade garden tractors. And then walk behinds. I like local walk behinds, locally made walk behinds. And I'm from Lancaster, PA. So there was a company in Willis Street that made a Mellinger garden spot, which I'm going to do a video on that sometime too. Tell you guys a little bit about the history of that. You all right there, bud? If you watch my live streams on Facebook, these guys are always in it. And like I said, this is Porter. So yeah, I'd like to do a video on Mellinger garden spots too. I think that would be a very cool video to do. A lot of you guys don't know a lot about them. Probably never seen one before. You find them a lot in PA, Maryland, a little bit in Ohio, Virginia, and West Virginia is mostly where you see them, because they were a Lancaster based. It's wherever the train went, really. So yeah, I collect that kind of stuff. When I got back into garden tractors, I started collecting chainsaws. I think I got like 90 chainsaws right now. I like local stuff, so it's Lancaster Pump. Lancaster Pump made chainsaws. Strunk from Coatesville, I have a good amount of them. And then Wright saws, I have every different model Wright saw that they, reciprocating Wright saw that they made, and then 3 chain Wright saws too. Malls, Mercuries. I got some 2-man saws and stuff like that. I have 2 Sally saws. Um, it's something that I take them out every now and then and take them places and stuff, but that's kind of, I still collect them, but I don't, it's not like my hardcore focus right now. And with me, when I get out of a phase, I don't sell that stuff. I just jam it in the corner, and then that phase comes back, and then I get back on it again. So yeah, I'm into chainsaws. I like it's got to be older stuff, 40s, 50s, mid 60s. If it's just weird, unusual, I like that kind of stuff. I got a couple Remingtons, a couple home lights, not many home lights. I think I only got like 2 or 3. And the other thing I'm into is Silver King tractors. I saw my first Silver King tractor when I was a little kid. I always thought they were cool. They had that 50s style look to them. You know what I mean? Body lines and stuff to them. So I bought one in Jersey. Was my first one, a Model 41, and then it just kind of blossomed from there. I have 17 of them right now. I pool with one. I tractor pool with a Model 42, one of the bullet nose single wheel ones, and it does really good for what it is. I want to play around with it this winter, try to focus in on it a little bit better and get it to pool a little bit better. And then I have a West Virginia mountain tractor, Mountain State Fabrication tractor, Silver King. They made 75 Silver Kings, and this is the third from the last one ever made, which I bought that out in East Waterford. I bought that tractor at. It's a really cool, really neat tractor. Since it was towards the end of production, it's not the same as every other one. They were just using extra parts that they had. So it like I said, I like the weird stuff, and that's definitely a weird tractor. And it's cool to own one that's that late in production. Yeah, and then I collect gas and oil related stuff and signs and just a little bit of everything. Old tools. I like blacksmith made stuff. like blacksmith made tools. It fascinates me that they didn't have no money, but they took a rasp and they turned it into a wrench that they needed for a job, and it took them 3 days to do it, but they got that wrench and they didn't spend no money on it. Like, I think that's really, really neat. If it's stuff that I've never seen before, I tend to buy it because I go to a lot of auctions, a lot of shows. So far this year, I've gone to 51 tractor and engine shows. I still have some more on my calendar here in the next couple weeks. Um, but if I don't see it at them shows, or I go to a lot of museums and flea markets and stuff like that. If I don't see that kind of stuff, when I see it, I tend to buy it because you never know when you're gonna see it again. Which, again, I end up with a large quantity of random stuff, but it's cool random stuff. I started collecting those hand pump fire extinguishers, the copper ones. They make a lot of different variations of them, which I never knew. I just bought one that has, like, on the top there's a wand that flips out and you can pump it on the side while the tank hangs down. Never seen one like that. It's got the holder and everything. Um, like I said, I collect a lot of signs. It doesn't really matter what sign it is, just as long as it catches my attention. Um, and then I, for some reason, I started collecting lanterns. I don't really know how that happened. And I collect toys, toy tractors, toy construction equipment. I like tin toys, like trucks and bulldozers and stuff like that, like the tin stuff. And then I collect toy tractors as well. I think I got like 400 of them, 400 toy tractors in my room inside. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm kind of all over the place. It didn't start like that. It started just Alice Chalmers and Simplicity stuff. That's what I was focused on. That's all I really did, and it was like I go to a show one year and I had two of them, and then the next year I went I had four of them, and then the next year I went I had eight of them, and then the next year I went I had 16 of them. It just kept doubling. Um, and I try not to spend a ton of money on the stuff. I mean, if I really want it, I'll spend good money for the stuff. But it's got to be what I picture in my head is what I want now. You know, I'm getting kind of picky because I got so much stuff. It's kind of hard, and I've learned in this hobby too that you can't impulse buy stuff because if you don't do a little bit of research or kind of have a general idea on value, you can get upside down and stuff very, very quickly. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I bought that I didn't know what it was. There were friends that called me and said, "Hey man, I need money. This is what I got." I didn't know what they were talking about. It was like, "Bring it over. I'll pay you for it." You know what I mean? Um, so, like I said, you kind of just got to be mindful, and everybody's into different stuff too, which is another cool thing about the hobby is everybody's got their own niche, their own what they collect, what they like. And there's good things about every brand, and there's good things about, and there's bad things about every brand. I in my collection I have no John Deere's, I have no Cub Cadets, I don't have any Farmalls anymore at all, and I have no wheel horses in the garden tractor world. They're just not what I'm looking for. I mean, I appreciate them. I don't have any Sears. I appreciate them. I do. I think they're cool. They're all well built tractors. Then they all have different things that I like about them. They're just not what I'm into. You know what I mean? I go to shows and I can appreciate seeing them and see the work that people put into bringing them back to life. And that's what this hobby's about. It's more about the principle of understanding we're all in this together and we all have the same passion behind it. So that's keep that in mind when you go to shows and you see like young kids working on stuff, like bringing tractors out and stuff like that. That to me, that's the coolest part. To see kids walking around that show every year and then they show up with it might be something that you think is a complete piece of crap. But the kid's there. He bought it with his own money and he's super excited about it. He's showing it off because that's his. They're the type of people that we got to reach out to and we got to connect with and kind of, show them that we support what they're doing because they're the next generation in this hobby. And without the next generation, all we did was save this stuff from the scrapyard for a couple years. And I don't know about everybody else, but that doesn't set well with me. You know, I've saved a lot of stuff from the scrap, and I don't want to see it go there. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of younger kids that I know that are super excited in this hobby, so I'll try to teach them whatever I can. And you know, younger people that are watching these videos, you got to understand too that there's some of these guys have been around the block a long, long time. They know a lot more than they're ever going to tell you. And a lot of a lot of the older generation. I mean, when I was first getting into the hobby, not a lot of people, the older people, really wanted to talk to me. They just thought I was some stuck-up kid, you know. And when you show them that you're serious, you know, I went to rough and tumble ever since I was a little kid. My dad stopped going for a while just because some politics that was going on there. He goes now, not like we used to, but you know, we still go. We set up, we take engines and stuff and run them. And when he wasn't going with me, he was farming at the time and just didn't really have time to get away. So I'd go by myself. And you know, a lot of the older guys, I knew them from when I was a kid, and they knew me. They just didn't. You know, the kid's showing up with garden tractors, a couple little brigs. He's got an economy and a couple other little things. Like that's cool. You know what I mean? And I talked to them, but they really wouldn't like help you. And then I broke down and bought a 5 horse New Holland. And when I took it there that year, like the old timers were like flies, man, just swarming you. They'd help you with anything. And after that, they realized that I'm in this to be in this. You know what I mean? Like this is my hobby. This is you're either in it like hardcore, like this is your life darn near. You know what I mean? Or you're just in it to have fun. And you're in it to, you know, you're going to have fun no matter what, but you're just in it as a side thing, and it just, when it's convenient for you to do it, you know, it's not really your passion. And, you know, when the older generation sees that you are like dedicated to this and you're putting a lot of money and a lot of time and effort into what you have and taking it places and talking to people and you're willing to listen and you're willing to learn and you're willing to help people, you know what I mean? Like, and you don't tell people things that you don't know. If you don't know, tell them you don't know. You know, when this older generation realizes that you're like that, that's when they kind of start taking you under their wing, and they'll tell you all kinds of stuff that you never knew, and they'll help you with absolutely anything you need help with, as long as you're respectful, you listen. You know, and when I first started getting into this hobby, it was, you know, I'd be working on some old timer come up and he'd tell me something, and I'm like, that ain't gonna work. You know what I mean? That ain't gonna work. And he's like, oh, just try it. Like, okay, when I get fed up with doing it this way and it don't work, I'll try what he said. You know what I mean? Just keep it in the back of your mind. And when you're doing something, it's like this ain't working. What that old guy say? I'm gonna try that. And 9 times out of 10, works like that. You know, they a lot of these older guys they were running this stuff when they were a kid. You know, they've been around it their whole life. And there's people out there that have more knowledge on things than you will ever fathom. So just keep that in mind as you're going out to shows and you're interacting with people. You know, talk within your means and talk within your wheelhouse. Because if you don't know what you're talking about, words, you know, that's going to spread that you don't know what you're talking about. Just be honest with the people. That's the best way to make friends. That's the best way to make connections. I don't know everything about everything. I will be 100% honest with that. But if you talk to enough of people, you can kind of get the gist and you can kind of start them out. You know what I mean? A lot of people have problems with engines and stuff, and they ask me, like, what should be my first engine? You know, they want to buy an engine. They contact me about buying an engine. They come look at one, and I'm like, and they tell me it's going to be my first engine. Like, buddy, you don't want this for your first engine. It's too complicated. And they get a little pissed, but it's what you want is an economy, a horse and a half economy, or a 2 horse economy, 2.5 or 2.25, whatever economy. That's what I would buy for my very first engine. That's what I bought. They're so simple. It's not complex. You know what I mean? And if you have trouble with it, You can take a common engine, like a Fuller and Johnson, an Economy, a Hercules, a Fairbanks, like a dishpan Fairbanks, a headless Witty. You can take that engine to a show, and there's nothing super complicated about that engine that anybody with engines can't help you with it. You know what I mean? You start buying side shaft stuff or just weird makers, and if it looks complex and it looks weird, it's going to be hard to get help with it. You know what I mean? Like that's just you just got to keep that in the back of your mind as you start getting into an engine hobby. And the same with garden tractors. You know, there's a lot of weird brands out there that use a lot of weird parts that you can't find. You know, you got to network and try to find that kind of stuff. You kind of got to, you know, don't butcher it, but make something work for now. And then when you're at a show and somebody comes up and starts talking to you, just pick their brain a little bit. Don't be forceful with it. Just, you know, conversation, talk to them a little bit, and just try to get some information about it. You know, there's people out there that will help you if you just try to just talk to them right and, you know, try to connect with them. I mean, that's really helped me in this hobby. There's people I'm on a lot of garden tractor pages. I'm an admin on like I think like 17 or 18 of them, and there's people all the time asking questions, and there's so many people on there that act like they're an expert, but they won't help nobody, and that gets very frustrating. You know, I've already been on there and seen this I think it was a young kid from Wisconsin. He's working on this motor and it on this garden tractor. It wasn't really anything special, but it was his grandpa's. Him and his grandpa restored it and they couldn't get it running right. And he posted a question on the page and nobody said nothing. I messaged the kid and was like, "Hey man, I sent him a friend request, messaged him and said, you go out to the tractor, you video call me. I will walk you through what to do." Because you could tell he was getting pissed. He was pissed that nobody wanted to help him. You know, and that will deter someone from this hobby very quickly. If somebody asks for help, help them. What's the worst that's going to happen? He tells his buddy, "Oh, ask this guy. He helped me with a lot of stuff." And the worst you can say is no. Like you can give them ideas on what to do if you don't really want to deal with it, but help them any way that you can. You know, that's what. There's a lot of people that do that in the hobby, but there's a lot of people that won't help you at all. They won't say nothing. You know, if you got knowledge, share some of it. Like I know a lot. I've sat down and I've gone down rabbit holes on different companies and different tractors and different engines and just, you know, I like history and I like local history. So when I figure out who made it and like family members and all this kind of stuff and different patents and I'll go down that rabbit hole. And if somebody asks me, I'll share a little bit of that knowledge. You know, if you ask me a specific question, I'll tell you the answer. But I'm not going to give you my whole book that I spent months on collecting all this information. I'm not just going to hand it over to you. But if you ask me questions, I will answer them for you. You know what I mean? There's a difference in giving all your knowledge away and just helping people. I keep that in mind too. And like I said, I really like local history. I really like locally made things. So a lot of the garden tractors that I have in my collection are locally made garden tractors. That's kind of what I try to stick to. I mean, engines, I'm kind of all over the place, and like the chainsaws, I kind of got that down a little bit. But you know, just everything else. I mean, I got into collecting miners' lights and old tin trains like Mark's trains. I have a unique arch train up there, track transformer, all that. Um, I mean, just all kinds of weird stuff. And if it's got a local name on it, I'm pretty much game. I collect calendars and just, like I said, all kinds of stuff. I when I was a kid, Dad bought me a little Busco steam engine with the boiler in the engine, I was like, man, this is really cool. And as I got older, I'd buy one, maybe one, two a year. I think I got like 40 of them now, between Jensen's, West Coast, and there's another one I forget. And I started buying like homemade steam engines, like live steam ones that somebody made with a. I have one in there that's like this big with a flash boiler and stuff on it. It's really neat. Um, so I started getting into steam 2 years ago. I bought a small steam traction engine, that has a lot of local connections. I'll probably do a podcast on that engine too, if I can get. I trying to move some stuff around for winter too. I got to get that steam engine inside, and I have another little one that has a lot of local connection too. I got to get that inside. But I always wanted a steam traction engine, and to buy a big one, I was like, man. And then you gotta haul it, and then you gotta figure out all this logistics, and I'm like, I can't do that. I saw this half scale. It's pretty much a half scale um, engine up for sale. Went and looked at it, and was like, all right, we'll see what it goes for. I had a price in my head. I bought it, brought it home, been playing with that. And then there was a little one, with a Geyser domestic 2 horse, actual engine on a homemade boiler and stuff. I ended up buying that one too. Um, the bigger one, the half scale one, that was actually made in Art Young's shop that started Rough and Tumble. And then the other one I bought, the smaller one, uh, that spent some time in Gramelli's, Alice Chalmers dealership down in Solanco, Quarryville area. It spent some time in the basement there for like 30 years. Before that, it was made in Mechanics Grove. And actually, the Geyser domestic engine came from Kunzler Meats in Lancaster City when they upgraded everything. These two brothers got it out of the scrap and made a steam traction engine out of it. Um, so that's really cool to figure that kind of stuff out too, and it makes a piece more valuable in my mind, because of the local connection, and you figure out some history behind it. Um, that's like I'm a sentimental person too. So like if you help me in the hobby, I always buy something at your sale and I keep it. Um, I have a horse and a half Sparta Economy that I bought that was Lee Singer's. Um, I got some toys, some toy engines and stuff in the house that was Bob Wallace's. He used to make the little horse-drawn wagons at Rough and Tumble. And I have pretty much every different style horse-drawn wagon he made. Um, I have my great uncle's um, 6 horsepower M that he bought from my great aunt's brother who worked at Marietta Waterworks, and they bought it for a backup generator motor, and it just sat in the shop there for years. And then my great Uncle Bob, bought it, brought it home. I remember going down there when I was a kid and helping him get it. Uh, we stuffed it in the back of a King Cab 8-foot bed, like 80s Chevy with a power lift gate, and took it back to his house, got it running and everything. And a couple of years ago, before he passed away, a couple of years before that, he said, I think I'm going to sell this thing. It's just too big for me. I can't start it. I can't move it around. And I said, well, what do you want for it? Like, you tell me a price, I'm buying it. And he told me a price. I went up, got it, and I've had it ever since. It's going to be an engine that's not going to go anywhere for a long, long while. Um, so, like I said, I have stuff like that too. I have a lot of knick-knack, little stupid stuff. Um, whether it's chrome off of trucks, emblems, um, random made tools. Um, like, I don't know if you can see it, but right here, it's this is a pump and motor out of a wallpaper stripper, like an old wallpaper stripper. Um, like fencers and just random stuff like that. A lot of wrenches and stuff. Sometime I'll do a podcast upstairs in my museum too. I have a little museum here. Um, I'll do a podcast up there and kind of show you guys a little bit of weird stuff, tell you a little bit about it. That way, I mean, you guys see it out at shows or at auctions or at flea markets, you have a general idea what it is. When you see it, then you can kind of look at it a little bit better. Um, but yeah, like I said, I've been in this hobby ever since I was like, well, I got my first motor when I was like 4. And then when I was like 15, 16 is really when I started getting into it a little bit more. And these last 5, 8 years, I've really been diving into it and making this kind of it's kind of my life now. Um, I mean, this is all I do for a living is buy and sell stuff. I have Facebook live stream sales pretty much every Sunday. I took a break over show season. Slowly getting back into it now. So like I said, you can follow Lime Valley Engine Works on Facebook. You can see what we're into. Um, but yeah, this is really what I do for a living now. Is I buy and sell stuff, and I wheel and deal, and try to help people find things, because there's people out there that have been trying to find things for the longest time, and they can't, or they don't know where to look, or they don't have the connections, and I've been privileged enough to find some people some really cool stuff. And that's another big thing for me, is finding somebody something that they've been looking for, and just seeing that smile on their face, and seeing how dedicated they get to that stuff. Rick Wagner is a really good example of that. He was looking for a Wagner tractor. My good buddy Jeff from Jersey, that passed away a couple years ago. I was out there at his place taking pictures of stuff. I seen this Wagner tractor. Talking to a friend of mine and said, "Look, this Rick Wagner guy's looking for one. His last name's Wagner. He wants one of these tractors." So sent him some pictures. Was talking back and forth. He came out one Thanksgiving Day. Jeff brought a whole trailer load of stuff up here that was already sold, already spoken for. Prices were to be negotiated. He did that like every Thanksgiving for like 3 or 4 years. He'd bring a whole trailer, like a 38-foot gooseneck trailer full of stuff, and go on skids, and pretty much everything had a home already. It was just a price, like, this is what I'm asking, this is what I'd like to get, but we'll talk about it. And that's where Rick got his very first one, and just, now he is like the expert on Wagner tractors. He is, he took that one and just, like, he's die hard into that, and to me that's really, really cool. I'm super glad to have been able to be a part of that. And there's some other stuff that people have been looking for. They've been looking for the grandpa's tractor, they've been looking for, this specific engine, or these parts. And when you can find people that stuff, and see the smile on their face, and see how excited they get about it, to me that's really, really cool. It's a good reason to be in the hobby, and it justifies what I'm doing here. You know what I mean? Um, and I built some really good connections with people, and built a really good name for myself. It just started out as I'd go and buy 4 or 5 engines, and I really only wanted 2 of them, and then I'd sell the other ones off, and try to take a little bit of the dent out on the 2 that I'm keeping. That's what it started out as, and then it just, like, go to sales and buy full garages. That's pretty much what I do now. If there's an auction, even if it's 2 hours away, and it's so much crap that I know they're not going to get through it. They're selling stuff by skids. They're selling like this whole 2-car garage. I'm going to buy as much as I possibly can. Because that's kind of what you got to do. So it's a lot different than having a normal job. It's a little more stressful, and there's a lot more stuff all over the place. But like I said, I'm very thankful, to be able to do what I do, and I thank you guys very much for supporting me, and having my back and promoting what I'm doing. And I think these podcasts are a very important part of the hobby too. Bringing awareness to the hobby, bringing new interest to the hobby, and just sharing knowledge. Like I said, I'd like to do a podcast on Silver King tractors. I'd like to do a podcast with Rick Wagner on Wagner tractors. There's a couple guys to talk to about Cub Cadets. There's a couple guys to talk to about, even if it's the basics, like, you know, talk to somebody about, how to initially get this engine started. You know what I mean? It's all ready to go. Just how do you start one? Because how I met Jeff Bocow, Jersey Jeff, was at Rough and Tumble. He came up to me, he said, "How do you start these things?" And I showed him, and he walked away. Next day he came back, said, "Stupid question, how do you shut them off?" So I showed him how to shut different ones off. He's like, "Okay." Then he left. Then he came back. And he's like, "What's that glass thing on the top?" And I told him that's an oiler, dripstone a cylinder. Okay, and then there's these grease cups. That's what, lubricates everything. And he's like, "Oh, okay." I said, "Why are you asking? Tell me a little bit why you're asking." And he told me that there were a bunch of engines at the farm, and he wanted to keep some and wanted to learn kind of what he was doing, and that's the whole reason I met him, was because I took the time to talk to him, and we became really, really good friends, and he did a lot for me and really pushed me to do this and really helped me build my business to what it is. And he had my back. No matter what I needed, I could have, you'd call him at 2 o'clock in the morning. He'd hop in his truck and trailer and drive to Texas to pick something up for me. It didn't matter. You know what I mean? If I needed help with anything, he would be here. That's just how he was. You know what I mean? So you never know when you're talking to these people at shows what kind of connection you'll build. And in the last, I've had Line Valley Engine Works since 2017, I think, and the amount of relationships that I've built, through the hobby and friendships, and there's people that I consider family now, just through this. You know what I mean? They're not just customers. They're not just somebody you see at shows. They're like family, and there's a lot of people that. I mean, I ain't all that old of a guy. I'm 33, and there's older guys that call me asking for advice and call me asking for questions, and you know that it really makes you proud, to be in this hobby, because the connections that you build and the friendships that you build. And there's a lot of people out there that look up to the younger generation in this hobby. If if you take full initiative and really start pushing it. So, like I said, the, this hobby can be a lot of fun, and no matter what happens, just don't let yourself get discouraged. You got to know your limitations. You got to, I'm getting to the point where my limitations are getting reached. I've got tractors everywhere. I got engines everywhere. My shop's a mess. I ain't got no place to work. I rent another shop I can't walk in. Like, but it'll all even out and settle down then. It's just I got to liquidate a couple things and, come to terms with that. And you know what I mean? We're all in this hobby for different reasons. Some people are just in it because it's something to do. Some people are in it because it's just, you know, their dad, their family was in it. You know what I mean? They like the stuff. Or, for me, it's, everybody's got something that gets them through the day. Some people drink, some people gamble, some people smoke, some people do whatever they want to do. To me, I you have a bad day, you come home, start working on an engine, nothing matters. You know what I mean? To me, it's a complete escape. I mean, my life now is my whole escape. So when you get pissed, you can't really walk away. But that's just kind of how it is. You know what I mean? And your interests will constantly change. Your passion will always be there, but your interest in what you collect will constantly change, and you gotta understand that too. You know, like I said, I started collecting Alice Chamerson Simplicity mowers, and then went to more oddball stuff, and then kind of got into chainsaws, and it's all in what you want your hobby to be. Some people, all they collect is wheel horses, or Cub Cadets, or they collect this brand engine, or you know what I mean. You can't hate on them for that, because they're still passionate about it. In this hobby, we have to see that it's the passion that we all share. It's not necessarily the brands that we share. You know, to me, a John Deere is not the best tractor out there. I like them. They're really cool tractors. It's a really cool brand. But to me, that's not the best brand out there. You know what I mean? And I'll be honest, Silver Kings aren't even the best brand out there. They're not. Everybody has their own taste. Everybody likes their own things. You know, I like Silver Kings, and I got a couple Mini Mo's. The Mini Mo's that I have, they are wonderful tractors. They're easy to get on and off of. You know what I mean? Where some people love Alice Chalmers B's. I don't. Alice Chalmers B's, John Deere MTs, they are horrible to get on and off of. But people love the things. And that's just, you know what I mean? Alice G's, to me, it's an overgrown snapper. But if you look at it and the mechanics behind it, it's a really cool tractor. It is. It's just not my cup of tea. But if you want to talk about an Alice Chalmers G, I'll sit there and I'll talk about it, and you know what I mean. And there's good things about it. And I see, you have to see. You can't be so focused on what you like and what you're into that everything else is garbage. You know what I mean? Everything's got good qualities about it. Everything has bad qualities about it. You know, so you have to, when you talk to the people, that's how you have to go about it. You have to focus on the good qualities about it that you like. You know what I mean? And then you can talk to people about anything. That's not something that's very strong in this world right now. Like, you know, either you're religious or you're not religious. Non-religious people don't talk to religious people, and religious people don't talk to non-religious people. Like, you can't have different, in this world right now, you can't have different beliefs or different values and actually talk to each other. Like, and that, to me, that's freaking stupid. And the hobby needs to get away from that too. You know what I mean? Like I said, we all have the passion, we all have the drive and the motivation to keep this stuff alive, or bring it back to life, and share it with, you know, share it with the community, and share it at these shows, and you know, it makes you happy, it makes you smile, you're proud of it. You know what I mean? That's what you need to focus on, not that, you know, you're brand specific and everything else is garbage, because you will start deterring people from the hobby when you're like that. You know, there's a lot of people that I know, some good friends that were pretty involved in this hobby, and they just had enough, because, you know, you you might think your stuff is the best, and that's fine. But you have to understand the amount of time and effort that other people put into their things, and, you know, the enjoyment and excitement that they get about it. You can really deter somebody by making them out to have junk. You know what I mean? And that comes back to meeting the right people in the hobby and connecting with good people in the hobby. If you connect with good people in this hobby, it will push you to be more involved in the hobby. If you connect with people that aren't, how do I say it nicely, that are all about what they have, their stuff's the best and everybody else's stuff is junk. That's the mentality that you will get, and you'll just be over here and you'll have what you have, and that's it. And you won't grow from that. You know what I mean? Nobody will come talk to you. Nobody's going to try to interact with you. Nobody's going to help you. But if you hang around good, like-minded people and just kind of keep going, they'll help you grow. You know what I mean? And I have a, oh my goodness. Oops. Yeah, wood stove's on. Uh, I have a show here every year at the house. This is horrible. At the house, and it's kind of just a gathering of like-minded people. The smoke will clear here in a little bit. Hey, Mr. Porter, I'm gonna put you over here on the desk. Sorry, I woke you up. It's just a gathering of like-minded people, and you know, I kind of pull the reins back on who can come display and stuff like that. I try to keep it that everybody gets along and everybody has fun. But like I said, it's probably, I try to make it a laid-back, fun time for everybody. And you know, when you get a big group of like-minded people who are just hanging out and having fun, that's when a show is really, really good. You know, so I want to thank you guys very, very much for just hanging in here with me tonight. Like I said, there's a couple different topics that I want to do live streams on. I forgot to close it down. There's a couple different topics I want to do live streams on, and kind of bring some new people into these too. Like I said, I want to talk to Rick. I want to try to talk to Jack Forst. I want to try to talk to Farron, Mac. There's some steam engine people I want to try to talk to. There's some car people I want to talk to. Not necessarily things that I know a lot about. I can tell you basics on most of that stuff, but I can't really get deeply involved in it. Or if I can get, other people on here to kind of share their knowledge with all of us, I just think that would be awesome. There's a lot of things out there that you guys don't necessarily know about. You know what I mean? And that happens to me too when I go to shows. You kind of got your blinders on. You kind of look at what catches your eye, and the other stuff you don't really pay much attention to. And then you end up with something. It's like, man, I never seen one of these before. And then you start going back through your pictures, and it was like, there was one at this show. There was one at that show. There was one at that show. You just don't realize it. So just to put some more things out there on your guys' radar, and kind of get you in contact with some people that would kind of help you if you're into those different brands and stuff, help you try to find information on it and things. So again, guys, thank you very, very much for watching this podcast. Me and Porter had a lot of fun. He's sleeping. Kessel sleeping, and Mindy Mo's sleeping, and Bantam sleeping. Yeah. So thank you guys very, very much. I'll try to get another one of these together here in a little bit. Try to pick a topic and sit down and talk to you guys about that kind of stuff. So thank you all, and like and follow Line Battle Engine Works on Facebook. You can see all the shows we're going to. You can see a little bit of my collection too, and you can see when we're having our show. Next year, it's usually right around Easter. You can watch our live stream sales too. So I want to thank all you guys again, and keep an eye out for new videos.